would like to know about the dewatering requirements for the dredge spoils. Why is it necessary to have a separate site to dewater the dredge spoils and then move the dewatered material to where the permanent location is that's been set aside? Why can't the dewatering be done at that permanent site? What's the objection to that?
Do you want to start?
Sure. The DEP has indicated that is not acceptable to them. They have also not accepted dewatering on a barge.
Why? There's no toxic material involved. Why is it? Why? What justification do they give for objecting?
Yeah. Well, there is salt from the ocean in there, and there is a concern that there's going to be some odor from the years of muck that are underneath there that they're pulling up. But the DEP has put together these regulations that they are insisting we follow, and that's why we are having such trouble finding a site that we can use as a permanent site to dewater. We've looked at many other options at trying taking it offshore, using the barge. There was talk of a tubing system at some point that was going to run all across Neptune and beyond, all that. But the DEP has said that none of those alternatives are acceptable, and none of our sites are acceptable. So we're kind of at the original impasse of what do you do? What's the next step? Nobody seems to want it. They're telling us we can only do it this way, but then they're telling us, no, we told you to do that, but now you can't. So we have no choice. We cannot walk away from this asset.
I'd like to actually make two comments. And the first comment is that there was a reference earlier that we were in a hurry, that we had to get this done right away because the money was going to disappear and the money was going to go away. The money for dredging in the state of New Jersey is funded by boater registration and other boating related fees. So the money is constantly coming in, is constantly available. It's not like a fund that is going to all of a sudden dry up. So rest assured, the money is there to continue with the dredging, to continue finding the proper site for dewatering and then going on and doing the dredging project. The second point I want to make is I just want to restate that it was wrong to sue the DEP. This was not the avenue. This was not a direction that Neptune Township should have taken alone. It should have, whatever the decision moving forward should have been with all of the 5 surrounding communities. Reference was also made that we had to protect our investment, this marina in Shark River Hill, that we have right here in Shark River. I don't think right here in Shark River we want to bring large commercial boats into the hills area. That was not the purpose of that marina. And there's been reference that that's exactly why we needed to dredge immediately and move forward, because we were not going to be able to take the larger boats. We want the river dredged. We want to enjoy the beauty of Shark River, but the direction Neptune Township just took was the wrong direction.
Mr. Keith, would you like to comment?
There's no doubt dredging is a very complicated issue, between state regulations, federal regulations, local regulations, there's all kinds of regulations out there. I've been through a dredging process, okay, so I understand what needs to be done and what you need to do. But as far as the dewatering is concerned, there are particulates in there that need to be filtered out. The transportation of the material from point A to point B needs to be dewatered. You can't be running through the streets with this water slush coming out, slurry coming out of the trails.
Do that anyway.
Say again?
But the water is running out when you take it to the dewatering site.
Well, the dewatering site would typically be, if it's on land, it would be penetrating, it would be permeating through the soil surface, below the soil surface, so that the material itself would be dry enough to be able to be transported. So that would be one of the issues. And again, depending upon where the site's been identified. There's no doubt that the river needs to be dredged. The initial discussions were 1 million cubic foot to be dredged, okay? That's not gonna happen, okay? 150,000 cubic yards, okay, is more like the target number, and that relates specifically to the current navigable channels within the Back Bay, okay? So the historic channel that runs along Wall Township, that runs along the bridge back on Brighton Avenue, that runs along Neptune Sea, okay? The cut, for those that remember, when you were able to run the cut between the point on South Riverside Drive over to Belmar Tennis Courts, that will not be dredged, okay? So we're talking 150,000 cubic yards that need to be dredged out of there. We need the viability of the river. Home values are dependent upon it, recreational activity is dependent upon it, and we need to continue to push forward. Suing the state, I do not believe is going to be the way to go. We are going to only procrastinate or postpone, I shouldn't say procrastinate, but certainly postpone this process.